see. It's preparing to live stream the meeting. Alrighty. It would appear that we are live. So hello everybody, welcome to Chasing Collectibles Catchup, our fourth installment. I'm Tyler.
I'm Tim.
And today we got to go to the Carolina Mini Vintage Comic-Con. And we had a great time. Tim, you enjoy yourself at the con?
I sure did. I love my conventions.
Yep. And so the plan for today is we're going to do a little show and tell about what we got. We won't be talking prices. We don't want to incriminate ourselves on any of that stuff. But I thought before we got into what we got, we would talk a little bit about our different strategies about how we approach a convention. Because I think there are a lot of different ways you can go to a con. So, Tim, why don't you start? When you're going to a convention, do you have a certain place you go to first? How do you make your way around the floor?
I try and get a feel for the floor, just kind of walking in there, looking around briefly, seeing what everybody has on their wall and their setups. Kind of gives me a feel for the books that they're going to have. Do I see that, do I see dollar bins, a lot of dollar bins, tells me that there's going to be some work, some real work on my part. Mm-hmm. And if a lot of things are just organized and set up on walls and in boxes, priced out, bagged and boarded, then minimizes my work, but maximize my cost.
Yeah. And I think it also depends a lot on, like, what are you planning to do? Like, are you in a position where you're looking to get a key, or are you trying to fill a run, or are you doing a little bit of both? Because I'll say with this convention, I went in and I had the budget for wanting to get a good Silver Age Batman book, which I ended up getting and was happy with. But in doing so I kind of did a laugh around. I'm like, okay, because I'm only going to find that book on a rack. So who can I get that from? And let's say I found 2 copies of it. What prices are they at? What's the grading differences? Who can I work with on that? Because if you're just going for filling in back issues, to me at that point, you're looking for, okay, who has good deals, right? Who has maybe a buy 2, get 1 free, or even like a really good dollar bin that you're going to be looking through. And so when I went to this con, which the con wasn't too big, it was about the size of a couple hotel meeting rooms, but a decent amount of vendors. And so the first thing I did when I walked in was I just did a lap. I'm looking at the racks being, okay, where is that book that I'm looking for? And then where can I go from there? If I can't find that book, then it's like, okay, what's plan B,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's, I have, with these local conventions, I do have guys that I gravitate to because I've been dealing with them for a number of years now, and they know me, I know them, they know the type of books that I'm into, my heroes that I usually look for. And I do go in there with a pretty big list of books. I never get everything that's on the list, and my list is continuously growing and ongoing. And I look to buy books more to fill runs. That's usually the first thing I do. The second thing I do is keys. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of these runs that you buy, they have a number of keys already in them that you're going to have to spend money on anyway.
That's true. Yeah. And I mean, I think it was Nick told me at one point, if you can afford it, go for the keys first if you can, because after that, you're just filling in stuff. But it's kind of, really does depend on the situation. I mean, there are some keys that are just like, okay, I need to be saving up for a while to get that. And to touch on your point with knowing people, not only is it good to, like, when you gravitate towards certain people, but I think it helps to, like, make friends at these cons and get cards from people. because you'll have people who, if you say, "Hey, I'm looking for Batman," I don't know, 635, for example, and they're like, "Hey, I don't have it now, but I've got it at my storage unit back at so and so. Email me before the next con that I know that we're going to both go to, and I'll bring it for you." Right? So it helps. Like this is a community, so you can really be taking advantage of that.
Exactly. Exactly. And
So
I did at this convention look to make a number of new friends. I met a number of new vendors, and that was one of the other things I really enjoyed about this convention is that it was far enough away from where we typically go that we had seen a number of new vendors from other states.
no, I agree with that. I think that was kind of cool. We got, and that's what Larry was alluding to when we first interviewed him. Was it last week, the week before? Is he said what'll be nice about this is you'll get some of your usual folks that you've seen before, but also some Virginia folks. And hey, before we move on to our show and tell portion, I think we should do a shout out to Larry. He ran a great show. Lots of different vendors who all had some great stuff, good deals. He even had some raffles going on. And he had the artists. It was fun.
Yeah, yeah, I really appreciate that, and I really appreciated Larry putting that on and inviting us to the show. And I know he has another one coming up in a few months. I don't recall the exact date right now, but I do know if you go back to our video with him, he does mention that.
Well, Tim, would you like to start off with a couple books that you found at the con?
Sure, sure. Uh, I'm going to try and remember too some of the vendors I got them from, but if I don't, I do the best I can. I think one of the best or one of the better books I had gotten, it was kind of a surprise. Yeah, it's a book that has been on my list for a long time, but I've just kind of forgotten about it. And I do have her entire run, both of them. But this was Mayday Parker's first appearance in Spider Girl. And I've been looking for this book for, just randomly for a while. I haven't seen it up at anybody's store, and it just happened to be on a wall today at Dave's Comics, and he gave me a really good deal, and I picked this up, and it's
Nice.
Yeah, she is one of my favorite spider characters, and so I got that. Then there's Tales to Astonish. I got this. This is the first time that the Incredible Hulk turns into the Hulk out of rage and anger, as opposed to when they first made him, he was just turning into the Hulk at night, and he was gray.
That's pretty cool. So you can really see the evolution of certain characters over time.
Yep, and I picked this one up from Beardy Weirdy. So good old Chris. This was actually out of a dollar bin find here. And this is the first appearance of the Manhunters. So it's just a book that I had recognized. It's not really on my list, but for a dollar bin, it's a dollar bin win.
Yeah.
And then this is just one of the X-Men titles that are on my poll, my list. I need it. There are some modern books that I talk constantly about to be on the lookout for, that you just you don't know if they're going to pop up in movies or shows. And there are a number of new characters in Strange Academy #1. Doctor Strange right now is a pretty popular character, and we don't know what's going to happen after this movie.
Or it could be madness.
Right.
A multiverse of it.
Yeah. Granted, this is a fourth printing of the book, and I'm still on the lookout for a first printing.
But you never know what happens with those second, third, and fourth prints because they make so few of them. So when that first print, there's instances where the fourth print is actually selling for more than the first print. So I mean, it's like, you never know.
Oh yeah. And then this one, first appearance of Sharon Carter.
Oh, nice.
So
Very cool.
yeah, this could be a big one.
Yeah.
Don't know. So everything going on with Captain Carter.
Yeah.
And then, this is just this cover,
That's a McFarlane. It's got to be, right?
Yep. And then this was for another, I already have a copy, but I just love some of these covers that I buy, 2 copies, 3 copies of them when I see them for really good prices.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
First, Lazarus Pit right there, or Lazarus Project. I'm sorry, Lazarus Pit. You're talking about Batman.
You're talking Ra's al Ghul. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not fighting him.
Yeah.
First appearance, or not the first appearance, but the first time that Brother Voodoo becomes the Sorcerer Supreme. We haven't seen him yet pop up in a movie, but we don't know.
Yeah.
Because right now, Stephen Strange, he's not the Sorcerer Supreme.
That's right.
Yeah. So we don't know, that amulet could pass to someone else.
Yeah.
The eye. This one, pure speculation on my part, first appearance of Joel. I have an entire run of Thunderbolts, and some of them I'm just doubling up on just because, this. And then I happen to have already an X-Men Adventures #1, but not a bagged one. I've never seen this one before at a show.
That big sticker is what gets you. That's how they.
Yeah, and the bag is still
draws
cool.
You in. Yeah.
So I saw this. I was like, "Oh, okay, you got me. You got me." So, Smashers Comics was a place I tried out today, and they were awesome.
Oh yeah, that's where I got a lot of my stuff from too. I visited them multiple times actually. Yeah.
And Timmy Max Comics and Games. That was another one I had gone to. That was a new one that I had never seen before at a show.
Well, before I get into mine, I did want to plug. This is the first time I got this new Spider-Man suit recently, and it was my first time actually being out at a con with it, wearing it for a long period of time. Tim knows I won't get too much into the detail about some reasons why it's a little uncomfortable. But
cold out, Tyler.
It was cold. It was a little cold. I got, we got out of the car and I'm staying there in my spandex, and Tim's taking his time getting out of the car. I'm like, let's go. But I did have the mask on, so you could still see my face and all that. But this little kid saw me and he was like, "That's Peter Parker." And I did the little web thing to him, and he did it back. And he asked to take a picture with me, and then he asked, "How's Aunt May doing?" And I was like, "Oh, she's good." And it was fun.
Yeah, you couldn't tell him the truth, could you?
Well, I didn't know what canon he was referring to. I don't want to, is it the comics or the movies? But it was fun. So that was nice being able to be Peter Parker for that little kid. But I was not buying Spider-Man comics, although I think I am going to start getting some Spider-Man comics, some back issues of them at some point. It's mainly after some Batman. And I'm just filling in runs. So this was a cool one I saw. When you're doing runs, a lot of times it's like, which one I'm going to get? It's the cool cover. So this is a cool Joker cover. Things are kind of getting off the rails here, but I like this one.
Sweet. I love that cover.
I don't know. Batman has a thing. 3 out of these 4 involve Batman on an amusement park ride. So there's that one. Here's Scarecrow also on a roller coaster.
Well,
it's like
he didn't have much time as a kid, for his parents to bring him to
no, he's got to be, he's making up for lost time. But this is cool with the Scarecrow. Another one on a Ferris. I did not plan this. Another one on a Ferris wheel this time with 2 Jokers, which is kind of cool.
Two's
And
always
then
better than one.
do what?
Two's always better than one.
That's true. Speaking of two, so I mentioned how my strategy with today was I'm trying to find a certain Silver Age book. I was looking for Batman 234, which is the first Silver Age appearance of Two-Face. Technically not Silver Age because it's 1971, but I think they still consider it the first Silver Age because he didn't even really appear in the Silver Age era. But this is a very famous Neil Adams cover. So this was pretty cool to see. Neil Adams is pretty cool. And with a lot of these Batman characters, it's one that we were talking about this in the car where it's like I'm probably never gonna get the first Two-Face because that's Golden Age and it's thousands of dollars. So if you try to do a Batman run, it's like you got to get like the first Silver Age. So for me, I've got like the earliest Silver Age, of Two-Face I'm ever gonna get. Maybe Golden Age if I hit the lottery. But it's pretty cool. So I enjoyed getting that. And lots of good vendors, good deals. We talked about this at the beginning, and you learn this as you go to cons. Cash is king, right? If you go to somebody and I don't know, you got $50 and your total comes out to 60, you're like, can we do 50? They'll most often say yes. Or if you're counting out your books and you're at 55. Even without, they might say like, all right, let's do 50. If you round it down, they're generally able to do that for you. Now, for rounding, you can't round it down too much. If the book's 300, you're like, how about 200? It depends on how nice they're being. But
I'll try. We got to start somewhere.
yeah, exactly. Like, let's meet halfway. I know this book is 500. I have 200. Let's do 250. Well, we gotta. Let's see. I think we're getting close to our time. But do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap up on this installment?
No. I'm not sure of the next show we'll be going to, but I'm looking forward to it, no matter where it is.
Yeah. It definitely looks like same here. I don't know exactly what show I'll be going to next. I might in April be going to Greenville for their big show with a friend of mine. But part of going to shows is you got to recover a little financially. When you get these books, you're like, all right, I got to breathe. But fortunately for those folks who are living in our area, there's lots of great shows coming up. Dave's Comics has a show coming up. Bearded Weirdy has a show in May, I believe. And then there's the big Heroes Con in the summer. So we're not going to be missing out on shows. There's plenty of opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Sure is.
And I'll leave you guys with a little bit of teaser. We got an interview coming up soon in the next week or so. We're working on nailing on the date. I was just talking to Lauren. He's got a cool Spider-Man room that we're looking at doing a tour of, again, probably in the next week or so. More books to post online. So we're doing some stuff behind this and some things we can't really talk about yet about what we're working on behind the scenes that should be pretty exciting. So we did say at the beginning of this year that this 2022 would be a big year for us, and I think it's shaping out to be pretty decent.
We're on track.
Yep. As we were on the train tracks. We were on track.
Let's just hope we're not dealing with that locomotive.
Yeah, let's hope we're not. Let's hope we're the Joker and not Batman in this situation.
Yeah.
Well, alrighty. This was fun, and we might do this again in the future. Going live whenever we can, and I think that's pretty much it. So, yeah, best of luck chasing those collectibles.
Keep chasing.
See you guys, and stop light.